Carl Fischer.
Hey everybody, here we are again. Welcome to the Tuesday Early Hang.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to The Hang. I am Carl Fischer. This is episode 59. Thanks for hanging out. We are having a good time already. Our three illustrious guests, that's a very hard word for me to say. It's early. My three illustrious guests were already here, and we did a tech call earlier, and can't wait to have them come out. We're going to have a great time as always. And we appreciate everybody hanging out. The fish heads here and the non-fish heads, please comment and say hello on the chat. That would be great. We'll keep dialogue rolling between everybody. And, we started early this week. So that being said, I'll talk about the early bird gets the worm. Let's say hello to my early bird co-host, Stephen Wright. What's up, Stephen?
What's going on, guys? How you doing? How you doing?
You get the early bird worm? You get the
hey,
worm?
I've been on the stream since like 9 this morning.
That's really early.
Well, when you're doing it with the video guys, you can't screw around.
Yeah, you get nervous, aren't you?
Yeah. I got an engineer, a director, a project manager. I got everybody. I'm worried now.
You're hot water tonight, man. I'm gonna write notes and send them to you.
Luckily, it's your name on the stream.
The thing is, they know how discombobulated and messed up I am. They see it through the camera every night. They know how messed up I can't even walk through gum. I get tangled in wires, and they know how. But you're together, man. So don't worry about it.
In 59 episodes, if we haven't dispelled with with any expectations, we're good.
Yes, sir. No, it's all good. No, I'm excited. Tonight we're gonna have three good friends on from the Billy Joel camp. Obviously, we love having the Billy Joel camp on. We have Zainool Hamid, Brian Littleton, and our friend Joe Weir. They're going to be joining us here in the next 5 minutes, and talking some good stories and what they do and how they do it. So we're going to welcome them here in a few minutes. But what's going on in Chicago? Is it like minus 20 degrees and you got your little parka on and a hat, or what? What's going on over there?
Yeah, it was rough this morning. The dog wanted to go out, and there was ice on the windshield.
Yeah, it's only November, buddy. Have at it. Have fun.
Yeah, I know. We went from summer to winter straight.
I can't believe it's November, man. I just turned around. I'm turning around like crazy. I was telling the guys earlier on the stream too. It's like, wow, we're at the Garden. We're all flying early. I think most of us are coming in Thursday. And it's like, man, we haven't done this, I think, 18 or 19 months. And, we played just, a week and a half ago or 8 days ago, maybe 9 days ago. It's like, I got to get my chops together again. It's crazy. So I'm trying to play a little bit. But, we appreciate everybody hanging out. We actually started early this time, too. We had a lot of, right, Stephen, we had a lot of comments. People have to get up, work early. We decide, and with daylight savings time and being November, we decide to start making the time a little earlier to have everybody be able to hang out with us. Hopefully it works out.
Yeah, and if you guys dig the earlier time, make sure let us know, and obviously we want it to be the most convenient for everybody. And Carl and I turned back into a pumpkin at like 11 anyway, so.
Yeah, okay. Now, if you don't like the time, too, let us know, because we'll gladly go back to 9. My body's a little off, I'll be honest with you. I'm like, man, this is early. But, so I'm excited about it. And like I said, I'm very excited about coming up. We're all coming up to the Garden in Madison Square Garden in the city here. We're playing, was it November 4th? Or was it the 5th? I think it's the 5th.
I think it's the 5th, right?
Nah, I'm so bad. I know I fly to 4th. Today's Tuesday, so we fly to 4th, and we play the 5th, Friday night. This Friday.
Yeah.
So if you're in New York or planning on coming to New York, I'm sure the tickets are sold out. But if you're coming, we hope to see everybody, and can't wait to be back in the house that Billy built. Probably gonna get in trouble for that. But
how was playing the F1 track?
It was fun, man. It was interesting. I'm sure the guys will talk about it too, because the load in and the load out was very interesting. Our racetrack is a totally different scene than what we're going to be dealing with here in an arena setting. So, and then when you put 240 mile an hour race cars on a straightaway in front of the bandstand, that's always fun too. So I'm sure the guys will want to talk about that. But I thought the band and crew knocked it out of the park. Billy was just stupid great as a, he's on, man. It's just, so it was a fun show. It was a really fun show in Austin, Texas barbecue, and Wayne Williams hooked us up with some barbecue and Boomer, and they know where to go. So we were treated well. So it was it was real nice. It was really good.
Good. I'm sure that was yeah. Had you guys, that was the first time there was an F1 race like that style of show, right? I mean, I know it's outdoor shows, but the F1, that was a new one.
I think they do. I don't know. I mean, we have to ask Andy Ciccone and Noel Rush. I'm pretty sure they do F1 there all the time, but I'm not a race guy, so I don't know, because it was the Circuit of Americas was the course, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not really. If it was a boat question, I'd know about it, but F1. But maybe I'm sure the guys will know, and we'll ask the guys here that are on the feed. So that being said, I don't want to take too much time away from these guys, because we have three of the most wonderful video guys. There's more video guys too, but we can only have 3 guests on at a time, else we call them the Internet Gremlins, right? Especially around Halloween, the Gremlins come out, and it's hard to keep more than 3 people on these feeds where it works. It was a total of 5. So we have a wonderful video crew, and it's headed from our director of video is Joe Weir. And we have 3 gentlemen here that are gracing our presence. So I'm going to talk about our first guest. We'll bring him in. This gentleman, when I see him, I smile. He's always a positive guy. That's another thing that runs true with whenever I talk about the Billy Joel camp and the members. It's always a positive. They're always positive. And this guy, I smile when I see this dude. He's our video engineer. Zainool Hamid is started touring, started doing public and private broadcasting things as early as, I'd say, 1972. I believe it was, and we'll talk about this a little later too, with Elvis Presley in 1972 in a Hawaii concert. So that's kind of a cool thing. I mean, not a lot of people have that in their hip pocket, so that's very cool. He started touring a little later in '89, but he's, again, who's who of rock and roll and music. Stones, did the Stones thing, 5 tours with the Stones, Madonna, I mean, these guys, they were wanted by a lot of top artists. So he's been with Billy now for a long time with us, and we love having him. So say hello to our friend. I call him Hamid. You can call him Hamid. You can call him anything but a nasty name, because he's one of the sweetest, most peaceful guys around. What's up, Hamid? How you doing, my man? Where you at?
Very, very good. Well, thanks for that introduction. I feel honored.
Oh, man. Likewise, we're honored to have you, man. What's going on? You see the smiling face again? We're going to be in New York, huh?
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, 2.5 years. It's about time we get back to normalcy anyhow.
Yeah, thank God.
But the ones we have done so far have been very good. Buffalo, Cincinnati, and the last one was quite interesting. I've done a few Formula One races in my life.
Okay.
Before, one in Mexico and one in Santa Monica.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I know the loud noises that goes on and during the practice and the race itself. So it was very difficult to concentrate, but we plowed through it.
Man, you guys did great. Yeah, you guys did great, man. How does that work? I know you guys. I was bored the night before, and I love coming in and watching Load-In. I know there was 21 Pilots playing beforehand. Played the night before we came into Circuit of Americas, and I was watching Load-In, and the video screens were up for 21 Pilots, and you guys had all your video stuff up. But how does that work as far as ramping up a different artist for a different show night to night? Obviously, it's the same screen. You guys changed the screens. How does that work?
Yeah, well, we had enough time to prepare. We've done it so many times. Opening band comes in, and we do the opening band and then do the main act. But this was a little unique because the band was the day before.
Yeah.
So the configuration of the screens were the more important thing. The positioning of the cameras and the camera operators and the same electronics that needed to be done to have it prepared for the show was the same.
Cool.
The major thing was the screen configuration. And we have such a professional video crew that they know exactly what needs to be done and where it needs to move as quickly so we can get situated to go on with our show.
Awesome. Yeah, no, like I said, I always like to be a fly on the wall and watch this whole thing go down. It was really, really interesting because it was a little bit different configuration. So I was wondering, you guys, roll with the punches. It's amazing. Roll with the punches. Nothing really troubles you.
I think it has to do with years of experience. Many years we've been doing it, like Joe and like Brian and Adrian and Nate.
Sure.
We all have been doing it, Simon as well. We've all been doing it so long. Yeah, we know exactly where to go and what to do and what needs to be done to get it going.
So in essence, what you're saying is you're your own pit crew on Formula One. You guys are so dialed in, man. And it's the truth because there's nothing that phases you guys in this experience. So thanks for coming, man. I know I asked you guys, we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and it's always great that you guys are into doing it. So thank you, Hamid. I appreciate it.
You are quite welcome.
My man. So, my man mentioned Brian, so we'll bring in Brian next. This man is another positive force in our video crew and our crew in general. Mr. Brian Littleton he's toured a lot as well. He's our front of a house camera operator, and he's also our project manager on some things. He's been, I believe, 2007, he joined the Billy crew on the video side. He's toured with Madonna also, and Chesney for years. I remember for years he was going between Chesney and Billy, and just a super guy, and obviously he is the best at what he does. So we'll say hello to Mr. Littleton. What's up, Brian?
Hey, how are you? Thanks, Carl, for having us.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Where you from? Where you living? You still down? Where you at now? I can never keep up.
I live in San Diego, California.
Horrible place to live.
I know, man. I'm a California boy at heart.
I love it. Yeah, I remember we were talking about San Diego, and I thought you were back there. Cool.
Yeah, I love it out here.
Yeah, man. Well, good. And so 2007, huh? That was when you got on the gig.
Yeah, I joined with Joe and Simon, and what a fun experience we had out there. It seemed like everybody was new at that point. I mean, you were probably one of the newest members in the band at that point, weren't you, Carl?
Yeah, I joined in winter of 05.
Oh, yeah. So
you guys were only a year and a month later. So was that when you guys? You remember the first? Was it stateside or was it Europe when you guys came out? Remember?
We did stateside. We did arenas, but we also went to South America, and we did. That
was South America.
Several states down in Mexico.
Okay. Yeah, I do now. Okay. That was when we had the piñata with Larry Doby smacking a piñata around and breaking a piñata. I remember that. Oh, cool.
Yes. The whole cast of characters was already there in place.
Cool. Well, man, we appreciate you being here, and we'll bring in the last piece of the puzzle here for our hang with our limited camera guys. With our limited camera options on our side. You guys have a million cameras going on, and this gentleman will tell us how many millions of cameras he's got, because every time I turn around, there's another little camera hiding somewhere. And talking about the ultimate positive guy here, he's our video director, and he joined in 2006, 2007 also, and he keeps everything running smoothly, man. And so, without further ado, let's say hello to our friend Joe Weir. What's up, Joe?
Carl, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
Thanks for
hanging. Oh man, it's all good, man. All the guys are hanging out, But I have to say, just so we don't get in trouble, because Simon's got a mean left hook, I heard, and Nate, he has a right hook. I'm afraid of Nate, man. And then Adrian, he's on my side of the stage, so he can trip me. So we got 3 other guys. Is there? Am I missing somebody? How many on your crew, Joe, total?
That's it. It's just Nate and Adrian. Simon are missing from this. We could have had them too, Carl.
We could have had them if you had those extra cameras and you have internet that doesn't fall apart. My internet falls apart. We got to talk to Steven, because what happens is when we have more than 5 people on total, it just falls apart. We've tried it. It's like, it works good for about 10 minutes, and then there's just too many gremlins going around. Right. But our thoughts are to the other guys in your crew, because they work tirelessly, and they're part of the family, obviously. And let's just, since you're the kind of you're the captain of the starship, while we're here, we know Brian is the front of house. We know Mr. Hamid is the video engineer. We know you're the director. So Adrian is what? He's stage left camera operator?
No, he's on stage, handheld.
On stage handheld, on the left side, right? And Simon is stage right.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And then and Nate, what's Nate going on? Where's he at?
Is out in the house on a long lens.
Okay.
And he is at a slash angle because Billy plays to the side. So Nate shoots him from like a 45-degree angle way out in the audience.
Oh, wow, man. And there's another camera out there too that Norman runs also, correct?
Right. Just the opposite of Nate's camera is Norman.
Okay. Who's actually our head rigger too, and he actually does the camera. But we're not going to give him video credit because his head's big enough. No, we love you, Norm. If he's on here, he's going to really punch the hell out of all of us. But Norman does some great camera work too, but he's actually the head rigger, which is a totally different scene. Everything that's hanging up over our heads is Norman and Drew, right? Don't want to piss those guys off.
No.
So, and Joe, man, talk about, so you jump on 2007. You also did the Stones. You've also did Madonna. Your first tour, you said earlier, was Tina Turner in 2000?
Right.
Man, that must have been a trip, huh?
It was. And I'll tell you who was there on that first day is that box below us. Hammond and I have been touring together for over 20 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Really?
20 wonderful years.
Yes.
That's beautiful, man. So you guys met on that tour?
Oh, yeah. I was a eager young roadie. And Hammond showed me a lot of ropes.
And he's still climbing them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. And so that was the Tina tour in 2000. Yep. And then when did you said also Michael Jackson. When did Michael Jackson come into play for you?
Or Janet Jackson.
I mean, Janet, I'm sorry.
That was my very next tour after Tina.
Wow, that's actually kind of cool having Tina being like, I hate to use, just the quintessential diva, and then Janet, wow, that must have been, well, how was that dichotomy between those two? Even though it was a different tour, I would imagine, what was the gig like, man?
Yeah, I mean, it was a much different kind of vibe on the crew. There's dancers, and it was Janet's tour was fun. It was really fun.
Awesome. So that was like 2002, 2001?
2001.
Okay. Nice. Well, that's cool. Well, good, man. I got all the guys, and so we're just gonna throw some questions. Do we leave Steven already, or Steven, you holding everybody together?
Yep, I got duct tape and rope, and we're ready, man.
Got to talk to these guys and figure out how we can get cameras and more people on this thing.
Well,
yeah.
I think it's trying to run a stream from a stock MacBook is part of the problem, but hey, we're doing it.
We have this Italian disease. Even though I'm Italian, I have an Italian disease with my equipment. It's called funzolo. Yeah. But no, it's all good. We again, we appreciate everybody being here, and please chime in. If you have any questions for these gentlemen, please hit them out. And you know, I'm going to field a couple questions right away and get the ball rolling. So this is a general question. Doesn't matter who answers it. You guys can all answer it. You can just jump in. We're hanging out. It's just us. We're making the hang. It's a Tuesday hang. So I'm going to say, a lot of guys go on tours. Like Joe said, you know, you're a roadie. You know, Hamid just showed you the ropes. Obviously, Hamid in 1972 did an Elvis Presley special. My first question is, how did you guys get the video bug? What specifically in video and touring, was there a certain thing that said, that's what I want to do? How'd that come about? Anybody can feel that. Whoever wants to go, just jump in.
Well, I'll jump in.
All right.
How did I get the bug? Well, first, I worked for a camera manufacturer who manufactured television cameras,
Okay.
named Norelco. They were the first one to introduce a tube that will work much better than the older type of cameras like the RCA and the GE.
Okay.
So right out of school, I joined this company. And from the ground floor into final testing, designing, I went out on the field as a field engineer.
Okay.
And that's just what got me into cameras. And knowing cameras led into broadcast, and broadcast led into television special shows, and also well, I decided to go into concerts once I finished doing the Olympics. So that's what my decision was.
So what was the first Olympics? It was 76 Olympics?
I worked on the 84 Olympics in California.
Okay.
And then I did the 88 Olympics, the preliminary for the 88 Olympics as a consultant. And then I worked in what's the next one? 92 in Atlanta.
Beautiful.
Yes. So before getting into rock and roll and touring, I did a lot of sports, a lot of other shows,
Yes.
Especially in television. So that was my attraction to video, you know, the production side, the sporting side, and camera.
Awesome. So basically, the mechanism of the camera really intrigued you right out of the gate, and then
yes, right from the beginning, coming from black and white to color, I was part of that.
Wow,
that
man.
transition. So that it was just mind-boggling, and really opened up my eyes to a lot of things. And being a service engineer, you can go out and put out all the fires, so you get to know the camera even better, you know.
Sure.
With all the idiosyncrasies and improvements you could make and was made. And so that's my introduction to.
I love it, man. And you know, one question always leads to another, and I'm sorry, man, I'll just ramble, but we're hanging out. So when you're going from black and white to color, back at that time, the technology, you're learning all the you know, the ins and outs of the cameras and everything, and at that particular time, to fast forward it to now 2001, do you feel like the advancements are the same as far as revolutionary? I mean, because going from black and white to color is like, I mean, that's pretty, you know, when we were kids, we all had black and white TVs, obviously. Now, I mean, you 720p, but this guy's got 1K. It's noticeable, but do you feel like the advancements are the same revolutionary advancements today, or are they better?
They're far better today.
Far better
than they were there. We were just feeling our way through, making encoders to make color, trying to get 3 tubes instead of 4, trying to get lenses to fit to be universal. All these things were the birth of new cameras. But the new technology now, with the ICs and the pickup elements, they're so much more advanced, and so it's more shorter space was spent to make more advancement.
Okay, that's very hip, man.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian, you have anything to add as far as that question is what gave you that video bug? Is it one thing? Was it general?
Funny for me, also camera, but in a very different sense.
Okay.
I was a carpenter when I first started working on the road, building set,
Okay.
and I got a chance to run a camera one day, and I just became I was really good at it and enjoyed it. And I had a couple people tell me, like, you don't realize what you can bring to a show through video, through the pictures that people see on the side screens, what's live on video. You can bring a lot of different elements to the show by what you do. And I don't play an instrument, so it's my contribution to the show is giving what I can give with a camera.
Sure. And it's very creative in its own way because, like you said, not everybody sees the same eye through the same lenses. You know, what's amazing about this particular crew, I think, is a lot of these shots are just you guys are always capturing moments, and it brings it never detracts from the music. It adds to the music, and I think that's very important, especially to Billy's wonderful library. So if I had a hat on, I'd take it off for you guys.
Well, I think you just kind of nailed it, Carl. It's that easy that the music is so good that whatever you're good at and you're part of this show, you're going to bring the best of whatever it is you contribute, whether it's setting up the PA or the lights or video. Like, you just want to work that much harder to have a great show for everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, and it shows, man, because like I said, I'm always so proud of just the production end of it alone. It's like, man, you know, when I'm not playing, sometimes I'll sneak out and see some things, or, you know, at rehearsals, or particularly when we rehearsed in Hershey in Pennsylvania. When we were in Pennsylvania, I got to see some things that I would normally not see. We all got to see some things because, you know, there's no audience, so you can go out and check some things out. But yeah, it's a very creative process. So being creative and, you know, having a director now, Joe, behind it. Joe, what gave you that video bug, and well, it's a two-part question. What gave you the bug, and you have all this great input. How do you choose to put, well, I shouldn't ask you too many questions at once. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of what gave you the video bug? I'll shut up now.
Well, I started in broadcast TV as a sound engineer.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got into that because I was the guy in the high school band, you know, a little punk band that I was in called the Piss Ants. When we rented the little PA to play at the backyard parties, I was the one that was best at figuring out how to plug the cables in to make the PA work. So those were my first, the seeds of my roadie career.
The Piss Ants.
Yeah. And I didn't really care much about like video until I saw a jib camera crane, which is camera on the big boom arm that swings around. And I was introduced to that in San Francisco, and a director at a cable TV network that I worked at let me run the jib for some of the shows. And she happened to be a veteran of the touring industry as a video director.
Oh, wow.
Sort of retired from the road and was just working in San Francisco. And she was the one that gave me my break to do Tina Turner. And she offered me a spot on Tina's tour.
Wow.
The jib. So that was my first break into video for tours. And as a lifelong musician, you know, it's just, you know, you're noticing every part of the song with cameras, and it's a lot of fun. I'm privileged to work with all these guys, and I mean, they're just so good at noticing. They just draw out the details. And I mean, I sit in front of a bunch of monitors, and the problem is I want to put it all on screen at once because everything's so good. But yeah, that's how I got into it. And I mean, I just love it. I can't think of doing anything else.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love that you're there too, because it's what these guys are feeding you through the camera leads to my next question. How do you end up? I know Steve Cohen, you guys are on telecom quite a bit I think all you guys are. What everybody is a pro at finding the nuance in the shot. So now you have the nuance in the shot, and you have how many screens do I see behind your desk? How many cameras and screens do you have to pick from?
There's 9 cameras that I have to pick from, and 5 operated by operators, and then there's some robots or fixed cameras. But yeah, it's there's no way I could articulate every single thing that you see. You know, it's like I'm sort of tossing the ball around, and people are making plays, and they're taking the ball down the field, and I'm just the one that kind of stitches it together.
I love it. So it's strength in numbers, and then you have all this great content, and it's almost like, would you say, especially because you're a musician, I know we've talked about music, and you know music, and everybody has a musical head on this tour, especially in the crew too. Would you say a lot of it's just improvised? You know, it's not planned.
Yeah, there's an element every night that's completely improvised. There's certain things that, of course, you're not going to leave out of the narrative that we're creating, because it's just Billy singing and everyone's gone from the song except Billy. You know, I'm not gonna show you just standing there picking your nose or whatever. I'm gonna
drinking a drink and, you know, making faces. Exactly. No, but it's amazing because you also bring in. What's amazing to me is you bring in a crowd of quite a bit too.
Yeah.
And it feels like a very big community. And my favorite is, you know, going back to the garden, it's Billy's living room. That's the way I feel. It's like Billy's living room, and you guys capture that very eloquently, of like just the people hanging out that are there for the concert. It becomes a very cool community, I think. So, I mean, that's my 5 cents.
Agreed. Yeah, the garden is the home. It's the heart of the whole thing. So, yeah, I can't wait to get back there. Friday's gonna be big.
It should be interesting. Can't wait. I have a feeling we're all going to be up late that night too.
Yeah.
I have a bad feeling about it.
All right.
That being said, how's everybody doing? Steven and the chat, everybody kind of settling in and hanging out?
Oh yeah, we got a good little hang going on in the chat. Like Carl said, if you guys have questions, comments of any type, I'm here watching. They're a little bit hard for the guys to see, so I'll filter questions throughout the night as we get to them. But I'll be honest with you guys, the amount of questions that I got before the show for this group, it was actually the most pre-show questions that we've gotten since like the first season that we did.
Wow.
So there was a lot of interest in this from the basic to the pretty nerdy. So if you guys are like me, we enjoy the nerddom.
We just want to be better than the Thrashers, that's all.
Yeah, right. We're gonna have a hang fight. We did get a bunch of questions come through. So a lot of them had to do with basic softwares and configurations of how you guys are set up. I know there's a couple different elements to things. You know, there's the live cameras, and then there's the pre-recorded, you know, the pre-rolled video and things like that that's mixed in. So maybe you guys could talk a little bit about, you know, those individual pieces, how they all come together. You know, if you want to share what platforms you're using, some of the technology. I know we do have some AV tech guys in the chat and watching that would be really hip to that. So
I'll field this one. They use a Polaroid camera
with a USB cable hanging out.
Who invited me? That's why I don't know. Brian, hit us. We'll go through the list. Brian, what do you answer some of that, because you guys are talking freely to me.
Yeah, I was just thinking also, Joe can answer this. Actually, everybody can. Speaking of creative, so all of our stuff content-wise goes through front of house, through Steve Cohen, through a media server that he uses out there, and he controls the Maxedia. He controls the media and the content for the show, and then sends it back down fiber to Joe and Hamid with the intention that we either take it to the screen or Joe can use it on the screen and mix in with what he's already doing. There isn't that's probably, as far as this particular show, is probably the most that we have going back and forth with lighting on any kind of technical aspect for that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you know, so I'll talk to Hamid now. He brought up a really interesting term that I've heard throughout the years, and it's changed. The technology has changed so much. The fiber optic speed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know you guys are running cables during the day, and so obviously it's lightning quick. Talk to me about that whole thing, bringing back high quality vid from front of the house to back to where you guys are, because you guys are on stage, usually behind the stage or on stage left, correct? Where you guys have what I call, Joe, what's the name for it? Yeah, I used to call it Star Trek. It's like this big, cool desk.
Oh, the switcher, the video switcher itself.
No, your whole console. It's like I call it Videoland. You know, the whole
Video land, that works.
You're easy. But how does that work, Hamid? As far as
Well, we have in the past used coax, and
Okay.
when you use coax to transmit video signal, there's a great deal of loss and
Okay.
delay.
yes, sir.
And so we've gone to our fiber optics, and fiber optic is like having a half-inch piece of wire.
Yep.
You know, it's as clean as you can get it, and we work in a high definition. Our system runs on platform at 1080i, so
Oh, wow.
we are digital format. All our cameras are digital. Everything that comes down to us is digital and mixed into our system, where Joe has the ability to take what is being produced from front of house from Cohen and integrate it into what goes up on the screen.
Nice.
We also record everything digitally.
Okay.
So we are in the digital format
Beautiful.
all the time, high definition.
I love it. I love it. So, you know, both Brian and Hamid touched on the digital aspect of it and, you know, the speed of it. And so now it gets back to Joe, and Joe, you're mixing it. What amazes me, and I always forget this, is you have you're not just calling camera shots, you also have the option of this bookmarked video that goes along with the songs. And you can actually mix the two together, obviously. So platform-wise, what Steven's question was, what are you using to make these things integrated as far as programs go and platforms? And creatively, what's your take on that? How does that happen?
Well, I use a broadcast-based video switcher made by Ross, which is a Canadian company. And
You get 25% of sales from now on, by the way.
Link in the description.
Yeah, everybody gets 25% of Ross from now on this feed. Sorry. So that's your switcher, and it's a Canadian switcher. Okay.
And it allows you to composite and mix things in real time through mix effects buses, and there's several on the switcher, so I can control separate feeds going to different directions. And sometimes they all kind of they're just one feed going to all three screens at a stadium, and sometimes they're separate feeds. And yeah, the real fun is just telling the story with cameras and with those pieces of content that you're referencing that Steve sends us. I mean, it's beautiful. Some of the stuff just is perfect for the song. And, you know, kind of you want to give people a break from just seeing cameras the whole time. And this is more of a artistic,
Us.
you know, right, exactly. And you try to remember what this is like to experience for the first time all the time.
Wow, it's very hip. Well, you guys answered those questions. Damn. Good job. Everybody
go.
gets 25% of a sandwich. What else you got, Steven? I know you had a multi-part and the geeky set or so. We might as well stay in that because we're talking a different language. I'm learning. So what else we got?
Yeah, so kind of taking what we just talked about and maybe getting a little bit more in detail. A lot of the questions that I got pre-show were having to do with how things are synced. So, the syncing of the music with the video and with everything that you guys have coming from front of house and what you're throwing up on the screens as well. The biggest question I got is, how in the world do you sync We Didn't Start the Fire? I got that question probably 15 times in the last 24 hours. How does that all come together?
Believe it or not, Steve Cohen, who runs the Maxidia media server from front of house, does it by hand. He literally advances with each phrase of that song.
Really?
Yeah, he does it because of, even though you guys play that song at, a solid, rock solid tempo all the time, it's just something he does by hand. So you'll see him kind of catching up sometimes if he falls behind. I'm so glad that he does that and I don't personally. I just think that's a lot of changes per song, and it's almost one of those songs where I kind of like take a little break.
I want to mention, by the way, everything that we do is live, other than that syncing up of that particular playback.
Wow.
But every song that Billy Joe does is live. We are hearing it live. We're seeing it live, so there's no need to sync. It's in real time.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
There's no musically, it's sonically and visually.
Yeah, visually.
For better or for worse.
In some cases.
Yeah. I love it.
That's great. We had a couple questions regarding the LED setup.
Don't be
Jonathan.
stealing my questions.
Yeah, Jonathan is in the chat just hammering me with questions on some good stuff. So his first one was, what mapping software do you guys use for the LED media content? Which I think we kind of already talked about a little bit.
That particular product that we use right now is a Novastar product.
Okay.
So there's a company called Row, which manufactures LED chassis and the actual panels. And then Novastar is the processing that goes with that particular panel. And everything gets ran through that for mapping for the screens.
Say Novastar 3 times, everybody gets 30% off their next software upgrade.
That's right.
Novastar Ross coming to you.
This show's gonna look great next week.
Percentage is going up.
Along the same lines with the LED configuration, do you guys? Oh, where did it go? Do you guys ship the LED panels pre-built to help with rigging speed?
Well, yes and no. They do come semi pre-built. They come in carts that are a little over 4 feet by 4 feet square, and the panels are about 2 feet tall. So yes, it is. It's a package to ride in a truck, but not. You still have to put them together every day.
Interesting. Since we're on a tech thing, I'm gonna go. I like throwing spaghetti at the walls and changing gears. So let's go totally visceral. I mean, not visceral, totally opposite. Joe, how did you get on Billy's tour? And that question will be for all three of you guys, but how did you get on the Billy tour?
This is a great story. I mean, we were finishing the Rolling Stones, remember Hamid, in Dodger Stadium. And late 2006, it was the end of one of those Stones tours that they just added another 3 months, and then we were doing some more fall dates. It just was it was a long tour. So The owner of the company that we all work through, Screenworks,
Yeah.
came to the show in LA, and we're out at the front of house before the show, and the house is open, and he's sort of, everybody in the video crew was kind of jockeying for his attention to see what cool gigs were coming up to try to get their next, their next assignment or whatever. And I was just kind of laying back, and he was kind of said to me, "What about you?" I was like, I had been the assistant director on the Rolling Stones.
Okay.
I directed the opening acts, and I helped with the director with all of the setup of the show and technical stuff. So I just said to him, "I'm ready to direct. I'm going to direct." And I've been working for some directors I've worked with, and I'm sure I'm better than.
Wow. God bless you.
And he was just, of course, gave me shit and said, "Oh, yeah, okay, great."
Yeah.
But it wasn't like 3 weeks later, he called me on the phone. It's like, "Okay, I'm Mr. Big Time Director. I've got a gig for you." It's like, Billy's going out. He sells 360. We're not really giving him much video. We're giving him projection screens that are meant for the people in the topmost stands. And they
Hey, that's what it was, right? It was projection screens when we did it first.
And we were facing them to the rear, so the people who had limited sightline could get a little bit of a show. So it wasn't even a full video package my first directing gig with Billy was this utility gig where we were, remember that, Brian? I mean,
Best.
but Steve liked what we were doing so much. He was like, "No, we're gonna face them the front way," and then it grew from there. So
Wow.
yeah, I got a lucky break to get into Billy for sure.
So that kind of, it's a wonderful story, and that kind of morphed into, again, you improvise until things, you push and pull, and so it morphed into, we're going to change it up and give people more content and just give them more bang for their buck, so to speak.
Yes.
All right, so all three of you guys joined at the same time. Would that be a fair assessment or no?
Well, Brian came just like we did the first leg in January of 07. I think Jacksonville, Florida was my first show.
We rehearsed there. Remember that? We had a couple days of rehearsal
Yeah,
in Jacksonville.
that's
It
right.
was colder than hell.
Yeah,
Remember how cold that gig was? I remember that auditorium. It was the arena.
That's right. Yeah.
Freezing. I'm in Florida. We came down from New York and we're all frostbitten. I'm like, this sucks. Let's go back to New York. Sorry. I remember stupid things like food and alcohol and weather. So
yeah.
Brian came on that too?
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, he wasn't on that first. That was like went out for 8 weeks or 6 weeks, and then we went home. And we went out again. So Brian was on the second outing of that just a couple months later, and then Hamid, what was your first moment?
I did in 1998, 99, somewhere there. I worked with Billy Joel on a short 3-week score that I took over from another engineer. And I was a freelance engineer, so anywhere I needed a person, I would go in and fill that hole. And so when I came to Billy, I think it was in 2005 is when I joined. And meaning continuously from then.
Yeah.
I have not done any other tour since then. But that's how I got into this one. And once I got in and knew all the people that I worked with before, it was an easy, I will stay right here. I'm not going anywhere.
Stay with the family.
It has been a family that has grown and known each other and get along with each other so well. It's like seeing all these people after this COVID delay. It was so nice seeing all those people that you saw every week or every other week for years. So that's how I looked at it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, so 05. So you joined in 2005. You did some things in the late 90s. That was the car dealership where we rehearsed in Long Island.
That's right. Right.
That was when I joined too. It was amazing. Again, I remember it was around Christmas time. It was in December we started.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. And it was cold.
it was freezing. I remember. Again, we were both like, "Oh my God, wow, yeah." It's amazing. It's coming on 16 years, Hamid.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. I love it. So, that being said, so let's go back to our friends in the chat. What we got, my man, Steve?
You know, we got a bunch of people actually just saying hello, and I kind of skipped over that a little bit, but I did see a lot of hellos in here.
Right.
Got our hang president Noah is here as always. I don't think he's missed a single week in 59 episodes. So
God bless Noah.
Thank you, Noah. Gotta give credit to Noah, Suzanne.
Noah's right. No, we want the book report from Noah.
Yeah, right.
Have we improved? No, it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
We're quitting at 60, Noah.
Oh, that's great. Suzanne, Lori actually was talking about the we didn't start the fire question. Marianne Stone, excited. 3 more days left before the garden. One of the big questions that we got beforehand was also having to do with the garden. Obviously, doing so many shows there, you guys have probably got into a routine of some sort. Is there anything that you guys are going to be doing differently going into this first one back that was just kind of a part of the routine before?
Well, no, I guess we'll all know in a couple days.
Yeah, right?
I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I can't say that it won't be. There'll be a little bit of nerves there doing first show back at the Garden. That's a pretty big. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
For everybody.
But after a while, we hope everything is still in place, and if not, we know how to put it back in place. So it'll be interesting and challenging.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Speaking of putting it back into place, we had a question regarding what type of redundancy do you guys carry with you?
A hammer and a baseball bat.
That's a good question. There is some redundancy. I wouldn't say we have an extra camera. I wouldn't say we have an extra tape machine, but there is some redundancy as to how we can change things around and be able to come out with the same kind of product. Redundancy as far as Madison Square Garden is concerned, we have some cables that are laid, so we don't have to run those cables. But all in all, it's like doing a live show every time we do this.
Mm-hmm.
Take it out of the truck, set it all up, do the show, break it all down, put it back in the truck, and go to the next show. It's like a carny moving, a carnival, right? But the redundancy there is not much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very little redundancy.
If the
And
switcher,
no spare parts, as we might say.
if the switcher were to die, we do have a routing matrix that I could use to kind of have a rudimentary cut to the screen. And if we needed to buy some time to try to like reboot the brain of the video switcher, but that's never happened in all my years. These things are just spec so high. They're broadcast grade switchers, and but things do happen, and we've seen a couple things happen, haven't we, guys?
Yes,
Sure.
learn how to get around them. Yes.
Yeah. And that's also what also comes with years on the road, is just how many situations you've been in that you know how to dig yourself out of.
Yeah.
I think all you guys were very. You said it best, where you all started from different aspects of the business. You guys just didn't start in, hey, I'm working a camera. I was talking about working, learning how the camera works, back in the day. in the early 70s, and Brian's being a carpenter, and then fell in love with something, and everybody started, and so you didn't get to where you're at. So you guys paid your dues, and obviously can make things happen. Just like if a guitar, Tommy's strings breaks, he can play the same C on a different string and still make it happen, or vice versa. Or Chuck's, ride cymbal breaks, he can play the crash cymbal. It's funny you're talking about redundancy, because Mark Rivera, myself, and Crystal, we have redundant horns. We've had our horns break, and pads fly out, and and mouthpieces fall, and trombones fall, and we run to the case and make it happen. But sometimes sometimes shit happens, and you just kind of improvise and make it happen. So I think we're all prepared. I think the whole crew and the band is very prepared for the worst case scenario. We've just been lucky because the standards have been set so high with the equipment, and I think everybody knows how to take care of everything so well, also across the board. And we're very fortunate too that we have Billy and Boomer on the crew that if something breaks, go get it, go right. I mean, go whatever you need, make the show happen. Very rarely do we get our hands slapped, right, as far as keeping things in order,
And that's a shout out too to like the company Screenworks that we work for. What you get with a company like that is just they'll do anything to make the show work. The stories of equipment needed in some island in the Caribbean, and they just buy a ticket for somebody and the person holds it in their hand, and they, or like in Italy on the Stones, Hamid, when the switcher crashed, brought a
switcher in a suitcase.
And it's
Yes, this support has been great. So yes, in not having any redundancy, we do have a great deal of support from the company.
Yeah.
Screenworks.
Let's talk about Screenworks, because the gentleman, he always comes out, and I call him Captain Gray. I love him. He's great. So let's bring in some of the people who are not familiar with the way the workings work. So Screenworks is a video company that is contracted. We contract for Billy's thing, and you guys work for Screenworks, correct?
That's correct.
That's how it works. Yes.
And what's the gentleman's name? He's a sweetheart, that your boss there.
Danny O'Brien.
Danny O'Brien, good Irish boy.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and all you gentlemen have been employed by them with Danny for a long time, correct?
It's been almost maybe 30, 35 years.
Wow.
I've worked with Danny, and 20, maybe, yes, around that. And Joe has worked with him for quite a while, and Brian has started maybe since we got with Billy Joel. Yes.
Beautiful. And you still work for Billy Joel, but just so everybody understands who are not in the muso or tech world, like Claire Brothers is our sound provider. And I forgot the lighting company that we used to. We got to have lighting guys on here too. I have had Fafano on and Steve, but the company itself, our subsidiaries, obviously it's not Billy's Video Screenworks. It's a company but we're lucky because we have Joe and Hamid and all the cats handpicked. So it's wonderful that we get the same people all the time. And I think that also speaks from having Billy wanting the family around, and you guys there's no weak link in the family. Is the family, Hopefully that answered those questions.
It's been very important to the Billy Joel production team that we bring the same people back as consistently as possible, and that's why it's happened all these years, because we want to make them happy.
There it is. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, so I'm going to throw a question out. So a question that came through my head, and a few people have asked me throughout the years, and I've seen it myself. So the question that comes up is, I hit on this a little bit with Hamid, but Joe, hit me with this one. The technology, as far as the technology changing, how's it changed? Like, for instance, we're going into our old stomping grounds. We're going back into the arena atmosphere now, smaller arena, compared to how's the technology change? Or is the technology stay the same going from a arena to a stadium? obviously the stadium's bigger, you bring more things, but the same technology is there. You just bring more gear. How's that work, Joe?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we only have one center LED wall that's arranged in the array that you see at the show. And I mean, it's suspended in a whole audience full of people, which is it's a beautiful design. And so at a stadium, you know, you've got to play to a much more vast volume of space and people. And that's what's so cool about the Garden is it's an iconic room. And but as far as the technology, I think it's that screen really, really looks beautiful. The whole set design looks beautiful in the Garden. It's like got this vertical reach. The screen's up high. There's nothing kind of distracting it. It's very, you know, very
Angelic.
Yeah, so I mean, I love the design of the set for sure. Didn't someone ask in the chat if we were going to change the design? I've wondered that too, and that's a Steve Cohen and Billy thing. But I kind of like that it's staying the same because this is the show, you know.
Beautiful. So would you say on the stadium, guys, do you have, obviously you have more LED screens. So is it a half a truck of gear or is it a full truck? How does that work, you know, going from a smaller room to a big venue like a stadium?
It's a full truck extra of screen for the stadium.
Wow. It is a full truck.
And 2 extra guys.
Wow. 2 extra guys on a crew for a stadium. So
Correct.
a lot of people, I mean, I've been on a band a long time. I knew it had more gear, but think about that, folks. An extra freaking 18-wheeler going down a road with 2 extra people playing stadiums. It's not a small, even though technology has gotten to the point where things are smaller, it's still a freaking tractor trailer full of screens, right?
That's every department too. You have extra lighting, you have extra audio also.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy.
Yeah. Stadiums are big.
So what do you think? I always, sometimes I always forget, but on a stadium tour, what are we up to, 16 trucks?
I'd say we're probably 14 to 16 trucks. Yeah.
And the arenas are smaller, 12 to 14, would you say?
Yeah, 12, I would say.
Awesome. All right, so that answers that question, I think. All right, cool. What do we got, Steve-O? Are you guys hanging in there? Everybody doing all right?
Oh,
Getting
yeah.
tired yet?
We had an interesting one come in for Hamid. You mentioned working on the Hawaii special for Elvis. Do you personally prefer the modular nature of the older technology or the more inclusive versions of the newer technology? Do you find one easier to work with?
Well, the newer technology is certainly easier to work with. But being on tour, everything is modular. And having to work on specials like Elvis Presley special, we worked out of a truck. And a lot of things were permanent, you know. All the facilities being able to patch things around, add cameras. I was there simply as an engineer for the cameras. So the technology today is so much more advanced and miniaturized and so easier to work with, especially in different platforms and different media that you could use it for. So I think in that sense, it's a lot easier.
Okay. And somebody named Chainsaw wants you to tell us about working with the Banana Splits.
In my early days of television broadcast, I worked with many shows. I know Chainsaw. I hope he's well. He's one of our family at Billy Joe.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of questions. He's got a bunch of questions in the chat.
Yeah, we've done Kukla Franalali, Huff and Puff stuff, all kinds of things I did in my early days of broadcast, knowing cameras. And I lived in LA. I was in great demand as a freelancer. So I had an opportunity to do a lot of those type of shows, especially sitcoms, and fill in for certain people that didn't show up. Being an engineer, I took everything I could have in those days. So yeah, Stella and I worked in a lot of those shows, early shows.
Yeah.
HR Puff and stuff. Remember that? A
Yeah,
lot
he
of bad
mentioned,
chroma key.
yeah, he mentioned that
Yes.
too. Yeah,
Yes.
he says, tell us about invention of the green screen.
Yeah, well, green screen, blue screen. It's quite a thing that you could take the blue out and put anything you want in there. And that was
Mhm.
quite an innovative part of television. In the film industry, you did that easily by shooting a green screen. But in television, you had to remove the blue or the green electronically. So when a chroma key, it was called at first in the early days. And when that was developed, we used it extensively to transport people from a certain scene to another scene. But it was the growing pains of having it work properly. Yes.
Mhm.
So I'd like to see you transform on a green screen chainsaw into a ballerina next time.
We can do that. We can do that. We have the technology.
And you have the technology. And Shane, we got to we got to give him a shout out, because not only is Chainsaw hanging out, if Chainsaw's on the feed, that means Wayne Williams, Billy's piano tech's on the feed, because they're hanging out together tonight.
Oh,
nice.
hello, guys.
I heard they're in Florida.
Oh.
So there's some trouble, right, guys? I mean, those two. Oh Lord, we miss and love you guys, though.
Yes, we do miss and love you guys.
Yeah,
That's trouble.
we got some other friends and Billy family hanging out in the chat as well. Josh Weeble's here hanging out with us, saying he says I remember when we ended the Stones run. Joe and Hamid and I did the whole Stones tour. They were the best. Had a lot of comments coming in, just singing your praises about how how people have been to shows over years and years of time, and the lighting and video combination at the Billy shows is always the best in the business. Nice comments there.
Yes.
Let's see.
I want to be a fly on. I want to be on a fly on the wall with Wayne and Chainsaw tonight. That's what I want.
Right.
right, Brian. You think about those two together, it's scary. It really
Anytime you walk into a hotel lobby and those two are sitting next to each other talking, you either just go right to the elevator,
you run,
or sit down and plan on having a minute.
Yeah, it's gonna be special.
It's gonna be something.
I'm gonna change this question around a little bit to avoid an unnecessary avenue. But there was a question about the recording of the shows. Obviously, nobody knows, what type of future releases of audio or video content from concerts there will be. But what does it take for you guys from the point that you capture the video into the point where somebody makes a request for an ad or something with concert footage? How does that process work for you guys?
Joe will be the best one to answer that question.
Well, yeah, I get requests from the organization to do edits for various things, a snippet for social media or for some promotions for upcoming shows. And we record every camera on a SSD hard drive. So each camera, back in the day, we would bring on tour these broadcast videotape machine, these large machines with a lot of moving parts that were very, very expensive. And that was the norm. Down to now, we record each camera.
Got that on? Did you record that? Did you get that? I'm sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
I caught it.
I'm sorry, Joe. I had to go for that.
So yeah, I mean, so when I get all those SSDs from all the different camera angles, I often will do an edit using Final Cut Pro and use the multicam edit function and spin up the angles. They all have time code on them, so it just does it effortlessly, and I can lay my line cut in the timeline and tighten it up, change it as I need to. And yeah, I do that quite a bit. I get a lot of calls for things. As far as using that for some future release, it's not complete enough a picture of the show to really expect much out of. It's a document, yes, but our video is for that live moment, you know, to be kind of consumed and experienced live.
Yeah.
Now, no doubt you can still see what happened at the show from all our angles, but we don't include any big wide shots with, you know, cranes, and we don't have a blimp flying over the place. You know, it's not a full production shoot.
Sure. It's about them being in a moment and being at the show. That's
Right.
what you're capturing. It's not for anything else. It's not for a record. So people, you know, I get a kick out of a lot of people love, especially in my smaller community. What was with Maynard Ferguson's band, jazz touring act. There was a lot of bootleggers, I called them, and they were anything that came out on the show, a video, a VHS tape that was wobbly, comes out now, and you watch half of them and you want to pull your hair out because they're horrible to watch.
Right.
And you get a lot of fans on the Billy side too. That are like anything Billy is great and it's great consumable stuff, but a lot of it wasn't meant for that. So, you know, the artist has intent of he wants, you know, whether it be a small jazz act or Billy, of having his show and that music represent either that time being present or the time being passed in a real produced video or a record. So, you know, I love people that, especially in Japan, right? You guys, we go to Japan on any tour and they know, you know, what you guys produced, how many people are in a crew, how many records I played on, or they know everything because the consumables. But half of those consumables that are out that are bootlegged, man, you really don't, like you said, it's not showing the full picture of what that is, right, Joe?
Yeah. Yeah.
I went on a tangent again. I'm sorry.
Although I really do enjoy bringing those, like, you know, at my setup at home here, I can turn it up loud and kind of enjoy the moment of the show and add in some. We also record a wide shot of the whole set, so I'll drop that into an edit sometime. And I'm very proud of what we do, so it's fun for me to come home and watch it. And for some events like Billy's 100th lifetime show at the Garden, when Bruce came, we added a couple cameras. So I did do an edit, and sometimes Brian Ruggles will send his mix and have it kind of remixed, and then I'll drop that into the edit. And boy, when you get, you know, Brian's 2 mix that I get sounds amazing when I get it home. It's the best sounding mix of any mixer I've ever had for recording. It's a great mix, but you can do a lot more, of course, when you get those sessions in Pro Tools. And then when I marry that with my edit, it feels a lot bigger.
Cool.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, Brian's the best of the best. Brian and Steven and Boomer and everybody's the best of the best. But those guys, it's amazing how consistent everything is, right? It's just
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
he's got deep craft. Brian Ruggles does. He's good.
Yeah, man. He is the guy. What else we got, Steve-O?
Something a little less techy, but still pretty interesting. How important is it for you guys to be as aware of the music as the musicians are?
Oh, I mean, as a camera guy, it's absolutely 100% part of your job out there is to recognize it just as you were playing it. Really, you kind of have to do that, and you get to do that when you're around the same music for as long as we've been with Billy and these guys. Like, you know, I know when Carl's going to play something on a particular song with his mannerisms. It's just repetition, and yeah.
You know that I'm going to have an aneurysm come out, and I'm
yeah.
gonna yell at somebody, and I'm gonna look like I'm gonna explode. And you know, part that Chris was playing on a kunga, or even Billy. It's amazing the nuance that you guys capture on each member of the band is scary. I'm like, because I don't get to see David Rosendahl from where I'm at, and sometimes I'll look back at something and say, oh man, he's doing that. Oh wow, cool. I've never seen him do that, because I'm not looking at him, or see Chuck's face when he's going for it. It's kind of crazy, and you guys capture that. So you think that's because you guys are around the music so much, obviously.
Yeah, and we're just a really good team together. We all the camera operators and Joe and Hamid, we just have a connection that's you recognize stuff that if you really watched our show, you would recognize things that you've never heard before, either that you're playing or Chuck's playing or Mark or Crystal or any of that kind of stuff. We find the little things for sure.
I love it. Now, Hamid, when that's happening, what are you doing you're behind the desk with Joe during the show, correct?
Yes, lights are changing, different colors, different brightness, different angles. All these things are changing all the time. So you have to watch the exposure of the camera. So everything is not blown out or it's not too dark. I have to make it consistent. And Cohen does a magnificent job of lighting it. So I have to follow and make sure that I can make the best picture. So I am there painting the cameras and irising and closing and opening the iris so that I can get the same level. And this is fed to Joe, and he can look at it and make a decision. Okay, Hamid, that's too bright, or it's too dark. Give me a little more light. And that's how we all work together.
I never knew that.
The cameraman shoots the shot. And I look at it. Joe might say, it's a little too dark. I want it a little brighter. I can move it up. And so we all work together to make the best image we can to put on the screen.
I love it.
And everything is done live at that moment.
Okay. So now, to be a little more specific, so let's say you have to open up a shutter or something, like, it's too dark and too bright. Do you actually program that from your spot, or do you go to the camera operator, you call Brian and say, hey, I need you to change a speed on something? How's that work?
No. It happens so quickly, you have to be ready to be able to do it that quickly. It's not something you can preset. You can preset certain things, but they never happen at the same time.
So you're making those changes yourself.
Live, yes.
Live, right behind the desk. And it's feed to that camera.
Yes.
See, I didn't know. That's pretty slick. That's very slick. Wow. See, a trumpet player that plays a valve with a horn, a thing with 3 valves is pretty freaking basic. That's pretty cool as shit, though. So you're changing the whole shutter of a camera from where you're sitting, and then Joe's telling you, I need more of this, I need more of that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
To keep a consistency. I'm looking at all the cameras, and he's looking at all the cameras as well to make sure the next one he takes looks like the last one he took. And it's not up and down or over exposed or less exposed.
Yeah. Well, if it's me, it's always going to be overexposed.
Yeah.
No, you look great.
Well, I'm not talking about the camera so much. I'm talking about the overexposure. Is it 10 o'clock yet? Can I my pants off? No. Okay, my pants are still on tonight. All right, good. Oh man, we're having fun.
Yeah, Joe, I know you were going to say something, but I just want to clarify. So the changes that you're sending from the desk to the cameras itself, is it doing a compensation, or is it actually changing the settings themselves? So like the shutter speed or whatever you're modifying, is it changing it on the camera, or is it just compensating for it?
Changing it on the camera.
Oh, wow.
The change is happening
amazing.
Instantaneously as you expose the amount of light coming in and out, to the pickup tube. So yes, technically speaking, you are changing each individual shot by moving up and down the exposure.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, all I was going to add is that Hamid sits at a console which brings out in front of him every single parameter of that camera remotely. So Nate's camera way out in the audience, Hamid could control the iris. He can shade it. He can, every single function in that camera's brain Hamid can change. He could make everything look green if he wanted to, you know.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes I do, mistakenly.
So that would kind of lead into another question that we got. When you're making changes like that, latency is obviously got to be a very important, you know, element in the conversation. One of the questions that we got was, how do you guys compensate for latency in the syncing of a live video mix with the audio, and then the delay that is presented back to the audience through the screens and through the external speakers, obviously? How do you guys deal with that that differentiation?
By using fiber optics is one of the things that we can get rid of latency, usually caused by delay or elements that stands time. As far as time is concerned, it delays something, so it causes a latency. However, when we use fiber optics, this we do not see. We can avoid it that way.
Beautiful.
Wow.
it's a nuanced question, because I've always, it's not lost on me that sound's traveling to an audience member at the back of the stadium, and I'm listening to instantaneous live feed of audio. So there'll be sort of there's a bit of a slosh in there somewhere where the sound and the video sync, and we don't compensate for that the way the sound crew will delay the sound from the delay speakers to match the front speakers. So it all kind of, there's not all this smear. We don't have any, we don't have, yeah, we have, we're dealing with photons of light. So, I mean, they're going to go pretty quick to the eye. And I like that question though. It's deep, it's weird, it's good.
Yeah.
We do weird here.
Oh, I've watched before. I've seen some weird.
Had a couple comments, Carl. Dave and Ellen Barbera saying that they'll see you on Friday. They'll be holding up a sign for you. Thank you for supporting and caring for all of us through the time that we've faced. God bless. Love, Ellen.
Thank you, Ellen. Dave, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
Melissa and
thanks
Teddy.
for being here. Thanks for being here and hanging out with us, because Lord knows we all needed this. I mean, I miss my friends and my family, so it got us through, and we're still going to do it. Well, you know, it will be not as much, but we're doing it every couple of weeks, and we all have stories to tell, and I'm sure there's quite a few left, right? So,
Yep.
You said my friends from Song in the Attic, Melissa and Teddy?
Yep, Melissa and Teddy are going to be there wearing orange on Friday in 111.
The Great Pumpkin. I'll be the Great Pumpkin, Teddy. I'll be the Great Pumpkin. Looking forward to seeing you too. Can't wait. Thank you.
Awesome.
Enjoyed the show,
Lori-
by the way. You guys did a nice show Sunday. I caught some of the Songs in the Attic broadcast Sunday morning, and they were talking about coming to the garden and how it's going to be a nice gathering of the Songs in the Attic family, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody out in the audience. I'm sure everybody is looking forward to being there, so can't wait to see everybody. Great show Sunday.
Awesome. Lori is asking, what is each of your favorite part of the day? Is it the setup? Is it sound check? Is it actually the gig? Is it the bar afterwards? What's your favorite part of show day?
I would say for me is as soon as they call house lights and that show music starts. That's usually, it's all, whatever happened during the day, doesn't matter. At that particular time, you're focusing on the show, and that's the coolest part of the day for me.
I like
I
lunch. I like lunch.
I would say my favorite part of the day is when everything works. Everything, that's my favorite part of the day.
Love it. Joe, what's your favorite part of the day?
A lot like Brian, it's right at the very last moment of the natural ending, right before Billy's going to start playing. And whatever that is, there's this little small space in time. And try as I might to have a good, like, when we're listening on headset and serious, stand by, everything else, you know, everybody on my crew likes to chime in and start talking all the time, including Brian. And right at that moment, he usually always adds a have a good show. So that have a good show from Brian is sort of like, that's when we know we're about to launch.
Yeah.
And there's no turning back.
I love that, Joe. So I'm going to add, I have two favorite. I like lunch, even though I don't make the lunch. No, seriously, in all seriousness, it's before the show when the Natural's on. Mark and I have a thing. We say have a good show. A lot of we all have a thing between us. We'll say have a good show, and that's when we know it's on. Like there's no turning back. And then my other favorite part of the night is when Billy he leaves the stage for the first time to do his encores. He comes off the stage, then we go into the big five at the end, the power set. For some reason, there's a beginning and end to that whatever we tried musically that was different or off the cuff, it's all over now, and it either worked or didn't. And that was a wonderful time. And now we're going into just pounding out, and it's going to be a beginning to that little set and the ending, and everybody's usually at that point just really into the show, and it's a good finality for me. So the beginning and the end is always fun.
Yeah, that's good, Carl. That's distilled that last set into its best essence, just to drive it all the way home.
Yeah, right.
Great. Yeah, that's great.
And it's amazing because when you think about it, a 72-year-old man is sitting behind a piano and going up in front of a stage of either 20,000 people or 70,000 people singing for, at that point, 2 hours by himself. Tommy might have some solos. Mark has some solos. We all have a couple solos. Mike does something, but it's Billy, and he's pounding it out, and he's going off the stage for maybe 3 minutes to have a drink of water, maybe wipe himself down or something. He's got to use the restroom. That is pretty amazing. Okay. And then he comes back out and does it again and kills it. It's like, this guy's freaking from Mars. Where is this guy from? Like I'm ready to freaking have a heart attack. I played 12 songs. Whatever. It's all good. We have a good time. Hopefully that answered. I think everybody hit that. Steven, what's your favorite part of the show? As you've come to a lot of shows, what's your favorite part? Let's get you included, man. I'm sorry I left you out.
I think for me, because I have a hard time just going to a concert and enjoying it because I'm constantly staring at everything that's going on, and especially now that I've obviously met and interacted with a high percentage of the organization. It's seeing everybody in their element. Where Joe's gonna be. What Joe's gonna do. The same thing. What BR's doing, and seeing him run out. Towards getting ready to go, and kind of seeing all that is, to me, it's more of the seeing it all come together. And then the show is just kind of the icing on the cake, so to speak. I like those hidden details. Seeing the subtle differences that a person seeing the show for the first time might not notice is also kind of fun. Like seeing the little things that might be hiccups but actually might be cool. Those things are always interesting to me too. But I don't ever see those with you guys, so it's very consistent. But yeah, that's mine. Had a question in the chat, completely different, and it was for all four of you guys. With all the touring work that you've done over the years, what is your favorite memory or piece of tour memorabilia? Could be from anybody you've worked with, any tour, any time.
Wow.
That's funny. I know Joe Hamid too. Like some of us don't collect a lot of that kind of stuff, but I have something right here that is one of my favorite, and it just happens to be from the Billy Joel
show and tell.
But we got this
bobblehead, yeah,
a little Billy Joel bobblehead in Philadelphia a few years back, and it sits on my mantle. It's one of the few things that I actually display. as a memorabilia of a tour I was on. So that would be one of my favorite.
That's awesome.
Yours doesn't have a hat. This guy's got a hat. This is oh
Uh-oh.
Oh no! At least mine has a head.
my bobblehead. Well, this was the Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals. Where's
What?
yours from, Brian? Brian, where's yours from?
Philadelphia,
Yeah,
Phillies.
Yeah, this is the Cardinals one, and he became headless. This is just on my office, but yeah, nah, very cool, Brian.
That's funny. It's the little things.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome. What about you other guys?
I can answer that question. I don't think there's any memorable thing that an artist did with me. However, the accomplishment of doing the show and completing it gives me the satisfaction. And that's where I think it's the best moments I've had. There are lots of memories. Memories in a bus, late at night, broke down bus, traveling in the truck to get to the venue, very little sleep, in and out of venues where you have to use the facilities there, no hotels for weeks. I did all of that. So there's a lot of not so glamorous thing about touring. So I wouldn't say that I had any particular great memories with an artist, but I would say I had great satisfaction once the show was done and everything was complete and everybody was happy. That I think is the greatest feeling.
Beautiful, love it, love it.
Cool, Joe.
Well, I've got a picture of me and Tina Turner, but I don't have it right here. It's on my computer, but it's just, I don't know. It just kind of came to mind. It was my first tour, and she was a charmer, and I kind of cherish that.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I will say I like the bobblehead, but for me, I kind of go along with Hamid. It's the memories, and for me, it's, believe it or not, seeing 20,000 people happy, jumping up and down, and I think Tommy Burns said it best. The Knicks are not really a great, I don't know how the Knicks are playing now, but they're not really a great basketball team. We go into Madison Square Garden, and we never lose a game. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
It's done. Everybody's happy. And, you know, we see that, and you guys broadcast that. You broadcast to people's, you know, everybody's having a great time. And, you know, Billy's lyrics come out like, you know, we can forget about life for a while, man. And I feel that way when we're on stage. It's like nothing else matters. We're at the show, no matter what. And it's a Zen moment, man. And so you can never, I can never, it's the best high I ever had. And so that for me is just, I'll take that to my grave every time, especially at the Garden. So,
Well said.
even though the bobblehead's cool and his head broke, I feel horrible.
This has got more character now, right? One of the other questions that we had was in regards to what makes a standout show for you guys in Videoland?
I think for us, well, for me personally, it would be things that nobody else would have any idea happened. It would be us getting a shot that we've tried to get night after night after night, and the light wasn't right, or just a particular moment in the show that we can shoot or do. That's what's pretty cool. That's what's different.
You got Hamid.
Well, it's a complete show that really makes it happen for me. The satisfaction of knowing that you've done your best and everything has turned out right. And sometimes we get things that we've been trying to get for a long time, an angle, a certain exposure, a certain expression, and sometimes that is very gratifying. And sometimes we search for that to just make it unique. These are the little accent to making it so beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What do you got, Mr. Weir?
Oh, I think some shows just, we can do no wrong. We just keep as a team, as all the camera people are shooting, and we're just throwing gold out there. Nothing, it's just like you're just wielding this magic stick, and no matter what you do, it's good. And then there's other nights where you just feel like you can kind of feel like you're fighting it, or I'm not working in sync with what somebody's shooting. And, you know, and most shows are pretty good, but there's some shows that are exceptional. Be like, wow, we could just do no wrong. We're just locked in. And that's a good show for me.
I love it. That's awesome.
Great.
Great questions. You know, since we've been techie and hitting some things, I'm going to go totally opposite, and then we're going to hit a few more questions and see what how the guys are feeling. But I'm going to go totally opposite now. I'm going to go, give me a good freaking road story. You know, we got a not abusive road story, but give me something. I mean, I got to imagine that the Rolling Stones back in this, back in the day, Hamid, there must be some good stuff. Yeah, I'm sure there's some great stuff, man. You have anything that sticks out in your head?
Yeah, we were in Milan, Italy. Rolling Stones.
Okay.
Swisher died, completely died. And now the company is in California and we are in Italy. How do I make this happen? So made a call, got a guy on a plane, put the guts of a computer, which is the heart of this computer, this switcher, put the electronics in his suitcase, took a plane and came to Milan. It was 100 and something degrees and everything just failed. And 10 minutes before the show, we got the switcher up and running. And what a story.
Wow.
Yes, it was like 1 minute we didn't have a show, and next minute it was ready to go. And yes, what a gratifying feeling that was. Joe was there, I think.
Yes. That was the Screenworks Danny O'Brien fix, so to speak, correct?
Sure.
Yes, yeah, well, it was one of those emergencies that needed to be done. And the only way I can get a computer there, not through shipping, will have to be somebody bringing it.
Wow.
And that was quite tricky.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Brian, what do you got? I know you do, I know you were with Kenny Chesney, and you guys were pounding the pavement for a long time. I'm sure you have some great stories on that tour.
Yeah, man, there's
Billy, well, let's not be specific, but
no, there's a lot of great stuff. I think for me, the coolest memories of being on the road, whether it's Chesney or even doing an artist in South America or something, is like when the sun comes up and you've been up all day, you've done a show, and now you've just put all your gear on skids so that it can go onto an airplane and you can fly and do another show in another country. And you look around and there's all your bros with you there on the tarmac, and there's something special about that. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's one of those moments that when you've been there, it's pretty cool. It's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, because you're going, wow, that's crazy. I never thought of that.
Yeah, you do it. You're there with your buddies till the end.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that.
Brian, yeah, deep in the trenches, and then you see the sunrise, and you're like, we pulled it off.
Yeah, the best.
To the next country. That's awesome. Yeah. What do you got, JoJo?
Well, I was just thinking about the Stones because Hamid brought it up, and I'd never really toured South America too much, and the Stones were playing on this rainy summer day. I think it was a summer day, and it was just on and off rain. And by the evening, there was this steam coming off the humans, in the general admission, like huge stadium. And people were hot, and it was just like, it looked like a war was kind of about to take place. And as soon as they started, people were losing their minds, jumping up and down. Like, I think it was in Buenos Aires. Hamid, do you remember that? Like,
Yes,
we were at
it
front
was
of,
Buenos Aires.
and
Buenos
like,
Aires.
we would just look and we'd see the whole audience shift 20 feet one way and then 20 feet the other way. Just big, the whole thing was alive. And people were getting smushed up into the barricade, and we just pull them over inside because people were getting hurt. And it was just wild. It was like humans really getting into it.
Wow.
Like, and that was the only time when Mick Jagger comes out, he's running is one of the cues on the radio, because he runs to loud music. So when he comes out on the stage, his heart rate's up. And that was one of the only shows when he came out that his energy paled in comparison to how much was happening in the audience. He was like, whoa, like stuff's flying through the air and shit. It was quite a moment. Hamid, remember that?
Yes, I do. I do remember it. It was frightening,
Yeah,
to say the least.
it was. It was like, wow, is this okay?
Love it. Wow. Not the frightening part, but that's an amazing story. Wow. That's cool.
Josh Bible would have been there too if he's still watching.
Yep, he just chimed in with Argentina in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Buenos Aires, yeah.
Wow. Very cool. Awesome. So what we got left in the chat? I figure we'll hit some more chat questions and leave these guys. Stop bothering and badgering these guys. They have a big week coming up, guys. We got to fly to New York.
That's right. Did have a couple other ones.
Cool.
One was back into the techie world a little bit, but how do you guys feel about the addition of drone technology in concert venues?
I have
Actually
used
being
it
for video. Yeah.
I have used drones in concerts and rock shows. If you get the proper operator and the proper drone, and it's safe, then I think it's okay. However, we have a lot of fly-by-night drone operators, and this can be dangerous. And if it's done properly, I would rather have it on a cable than a drone. I think it needs to be done professionally, not as an amateur sporting thing to put a drone in a stadium or an arena.
Wow.
Especially in an arena.
Oh yeah. No, it's funny you mention that, because I actually bought a drone at Bass Pro Shops. I was going to bring it to the garden. I was going to fly it off my riser, but now I
don't think it's legal.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there is a certain amount of legality about putting a drone. Although I've worked with shows where there were drones.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's amazing. Anybody can get one. I actually got one at Christmas a couple years ago. It was a piece of garbage. I crashed the thing and almost killed myself and almost took my hair off. I'm like, I never wanted to see it again. And you're right. A lot of people say, oh, I took a class. I'm a drone operator. And you don't realize what could happen, right? Like you said, nothing's proper.
It can blind somebody, cut them deep.
Yeah, it's bad.
It can be dangerous.
Well,
so no drones.
The interesting thing about the drones too is you do have to have the Part 107 license, but for a concert venue, because there's people, there's nowhere you're not flying over people. So even if you are a licensed operator, you have to have an exception from the FAA just to fly over people. So just having a license isn't even enough to operate in that format. So there's all kinds of.
So I'm not gonna mention the show that I had the drone on. So we'll leave it at that. Nobody can get in trouble. But you can see an unprofessional trying to use a drone in a arena can be very dangerous.
Yep. No drones. We'll keep away from them.
A little bit less technical question that we got here was, as somebody that has been to many Billy shows over many years, what is something that you guys are proud of every show that the normal eye might not see, but if we're looking for it, we might? Is there anything that kind of seems simple, but you guys are really proud when it pulls off every time?
Interesting.
Like the Easter eggs.
Well, it's a very interesting question, I must say. We put a camera that looks at the keyboard, and at a certain time, it's multiplied a number of times. I think that it's something to do, technically, we have to set it up properly and make sure it's, and this is Joe does this religiously. And when it comes off and it looks great, it is wonderful. It's a great shot, but when it doesn't, sometimes it's a little bent, sometimes a little twisted, it doesn't quite fit, then it's that disappointment in our faces. Oh, but things like that. I can't think of anything else that we look at that should happen and shouldn't happen.
I'll expound.
But that's what I think come to mind. You know what I'm talking about, Joe?
Oh yeah, because we try as I might to set up that camera and focus it so that I have a preset that looks straight down and it's vertically placed, so it looks like a bunch of multiplied keyboards. And I put a little neon stick of tape on Billy's turntable, and also Wayne puts up a sight line for him with some orange gaff tape on it. We try to give Billy, this. We try to give the look a fighting chance, but it's all subject to Billy deciding where he's going to stop that.
Stops it.
Yeah. So that's why sometimes when you see that look, it's a little tilted.
It's funny. So that orange gaff tape now is green, and he has the lights. I always thought that was just for Billy's sightline, so he knew he was sideways to the stage. But that's for a camera shot.
Well, it's also to make sure he knows how. It's for both, really.
I gotcha.
But
interesting. Actually, you guys owe me money, or I think maybe Hamid and Brian owe me money, because usually before the gig, I take those gaff tapes and move them about 6 inches.
Well, that's our disappointment.
No, I'm kidding you. I didn't know what the hell that was, though, for 16 years. I figured it was, that's interesting. That's cool. I'll remember that.
That's funny.
Beautiful.
Great.
Any more from the fish heads? If not, we'll wrap it up soon here.
Even though I hate to, people,
I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, just a lot of people saying how interesting all this is. A couple of photographers chiming in how interesting it is to hear that the cameras can be remotely, modified. Marianne Stone says it's a brilliant sight to see multiple images of the keyboards up on the screen. It's one of her favorite things to capture with a camera. So that's always interesting. But yeah, that's I think we kind of hit all the questions that are in here. I know we're coming up on 2 hours already, which is flown by. I know it's I've had a lot of fun with this one. It's being kind of a wannabe video nerd, in my own.
Come join us anytime.
Yes, sir. Thank you. But yeah, that's pretty much everything in the chat. A couple people I did want to say hi. Thank you to the great trumpet player Raul Agraz for hanging out in the chat with us tonight. Friend
Raul, what's happening, Raul? Hey, I just got a shout out to Raul. If you guys get a chance, it's on Netflix, and it's on, if you're flying American, it's on American Airlines right now. Raul is one of the best trumpet players I know, and he was the lead trumpet player on Broadway called In the Heights. And they actually had a movie come out, and Raul's all over that movie. I watched it going up to Austin last week. I was privy, I got to sub for Raul on Broadway on that show. But incidentally, bringing the Billy Joel family involved with this too, Raul Agraz was he was a sub for me on Broadway on Billy Joel's Moving Out show, and then he decided to go. He got the road tour of Moving Out, which is Billy Joel and Twyla Tharp's show, and he was the principal trumpet player on that. He came back to New York and did he did a million shows, but in the Heights. So anyway, I seen the movie, and he got some great spots in the movie playing. And man, the soundtrack is just, I remembered how much trumpet you were playing and how brilliant the score of music was. And the video of that show, that movie is just amazing how they put it together. It just brought me back. And if you see In the Heights and hear any trumpet and Ozzy Melendez is playing trombone, check Raul out. We love Raul. So, and Raul played trumpet with us with, last play at Shea. He was in our bigger horn section. So my man Raul's hanging. Thank you. Cool.
Yep.
I'll shut up.
That's
now.
great.
Sorry.
No, that's great. But with that, I'll say, thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging out, for all the new subscribers that I've seen come in. We've had a couple new subscribers come in from Japan, Thailand. I see Australia. I see the UK, I see Canada, I see Mexico, the US. So I appreciate you guys joining from all over, regardless of time zone. And like Carl said, make sure that if you guys like us doing this an hour earlier, definitely let us know. With that, I will say my thank you to you guys, and I appreciate the honest and open answers and sharing, with some of that stuff that may seem not interesting to everybody, but I know that everybody's been really thankful that you guys joined us today. So with that, Carl, it's all yours, bud.
Thank you, man. So I will say, I still have many people in Billy's organization and walks of life, musicians I've played with and non-musicians I play with, that I want to get on the show. And just episode 59, I was thinking about having gentlemen on for just scheduling and live coding it. So I'm so thankful that you guys came on as a team. And again, my hats are off to the other, Nate, Adrian, and other 3 video gentlemen. We'd love to have you on next time. Maybe we'll have video maybe we'll have the after part series, and I think they can talk trash about you 3.
Yeah.
They wouldn't talk trash, but they're part of your crew. Build organization. So I learned so much. Thank you. And Stephen, as always, F59, thanks for coming out and taking care of us and everything. So my first question is going to be the same question for all 3. Brian Littleton, what are you looking forward to in the future, my man? Could be anything.
Oh, wow. Just getting life back to kind of normal again. Just being able to go out and not worry about, people behind you.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see you in a couple of days, and looking forward to it, man. Mr. Hamid, what are you looking forward to in the future, my friend?
Well, doing what I love most, just on the road, being a roadie. And when Billy is done, I think I'm done too.
Wow.
So yes, not looking forward to that, but looking forward to the shows that we will do before that. That's what I'm looking forward to.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of days. And
yes,
man, I'm looking forward to it. Awesome. Last but not least, Joe, have a final word. Thanks again for everybody for being here. And Joe, what are you looking forward to, man?
Just the thing that I'm looking forward to is Friday night, and us starting this up to get the gun. So that's our home,
Well, there it is. We can't wait to see you. We appreciate the Fish Head Hang, the Billy Hang, and all the people that are hanging out and make this. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Until then, be safe, treat people the way you want to be treated, and peace and love. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you, gentlemen. Hang tight. Okay. Texting you guys.